Welcome to Senior Basketball Analyst. Just got through watching the movie Creed. Got to break out the Mike Tyson t-shirt for that. So, look, the movie was very good. I'm going to just start, hit the ground running. It was a very, very good film. It wasn't great. It didn't impress me the way that the original Rocky did, but it was overall a good film. And I think people that are not, one of the things that I think is great about it is you don't have to be somebody that was immersed in the Rocky franchise and saw every movie to enjoy it. There, it stands on its own as a new story while still throwing back to a lot of the elements of the original films that we love. One of the things that makes this a really good film is that it doesn't, it's not silly, and it doesn't stretch the imagination and insult the audience. When you're watching a film, we suspend our belief a lot because it's entertainment. So we don't expect everything to be, well, this is something that would really happen. We expect it to be larger than life. We expect some exaggerations because it's entertainment. But at the same time, whether you consciously or subconsciously think this, throughout a film and anytime you're being entertained or watching any situation, real life or otherwise, you look for you ask yourself the question, would this be the way this person would behave in this situation? So it's not would this really happen, but given the facts that we have about this character, is this something they would do in this situation? And you don't find yourself in this film questioning things a lot and consciously saying that didn't make sense. You don't find yourself doing that a lot. It's well written and not great, but it is well written. The continuity is fine. But more importantly, the performances from the actors. Everybody in this movie is excellent. They all did a really good job. Michael B. Jordan is a star. This kid is going to be he's going to be around a long time. He's going to be one of these guys that when he's 50, he's had a long career of making good movies. He's a star. The guy has range. He can play all different types of characters. He can express multiple emotions without seeming forced. He's just a rock solid actor. He's funny. He has solid comedic timing. I could very easily see him starring in an action movie 5, 6 years from now. I could very easily see that. And a big budget type movie, type of film with explosions and all that kind of stuff that makes these actors into megastars. I could very easily see him doing that because he's already a better actor than most of those guys. He really knows what he's doing, and at the same time, he can portray film toughness. You don't feel like he's out of place when he's being tough. The movie opens with Michael B. Jordan, um, Michael B. Jordan in Mexico. So not after they do the opening scene where he's in juvenile detention, they just fast forward to him being grown up and he's sitting waiting for his fight to start in Mexico. And he, of course, wins the fight by knockout. And he's unwrapping his wraps like right after he hits the dude. Like you in the foreground, the dude's trying to get up, but he's just unwrapping his wraps. And the way he's doing it, this is what I mean about he's just a great actor. The way he's doing it, it looks realistic. Like I'm dismissive of this dude. You know, when I come in here, whoever steps in the ring with me is getting knocked out in short order, and I know it when I hit him that he's gone, and I'm unwrapping my wraps and I'm getting out of here because I got work in the morning. That's the look on his face, and that's what I'm saying. He's just a great actor. Just things like that. He's excellent at portraying himself as a tough guy. He's very good at doing it on film. And then at the same time, he has the kind of range where in other scenes in his personal life, when he's dealing with his new girlfriend Bianca and when he's dealing with Sylvester Stallone, he's very good at then being more who he is in his regular life, which is, you know, a kid who grew up pretty good. Because that's the split here, and because the story is about how Apollo Creed's wife, who's not his mother, Apollo Creed's wife comes and gets him out of juvenile detention, which, man, that's a rough thing. That's a rough situation. You know, you go and get your, deceased husband's son that was from an affair where he cheated on you. You get him out of juvenile detention and raise him in your mansion, But that's what happened. And, he's supposed to be anywhere between 10 and 13, it looks like, in that scene. But we fast forward, and he has led this really good life after that. He's probably spent 10 years living in relative luxury. And then he quits his job and becomes a pro fighter. or actually he quits his job to pursue becoming a, you know, championship winning professional fighter. So the Michael B. Jordan just does a great job. Sylvester Stallone, it's once again where he comes through. He has so many projects. They're not all great. Some of them are horrible. But this is another time where Sylvester Stallone puts a great product out there. And this is not, it doesn't have the gritty feel that like First Blood has, or the gritty feel that the original Rocky has. But there are elements of that, and there are elements of realism to this, that like Rocky 3, which is just, kind of a farce. It's really entertaining, but Hulk Hogan is there and Mr. T is screaming out obscenities, and it's it's a big event. It's entertainment. Stallone comes into that, movie, and he's super ripped, like boxers don't really look like. And he's really bloated and he's over muscled in that movie. And it's so that movie is just that movie is for, just purely over the top entertainment. This movie takes a lot of realistic elements. There's a great scene where Michael B. Jordan gets into an argument with a rapper over calling him Baby Creed, which is the type of fights that people get in. And given what he was going through at the time in the film, he may have actually done that, as stupid as it was, because you're a pro fighter, you're gonna break your hand off some rapper's face and blow your title shot. How stupid is that, right? But there was a lot of little things about this movie. Like, I like the fact that this dude was at work wearing a suit, man. Like, this dude was not, he was not a guy. They didn't do a traditional, he's, at the bottom, and because they could have had him step out of the orphanage and become a fighter. They could have had him do that. And I like the way that it was a twist for me. When this movie started in Juvenile Hall, I expected them to have him, you know, boxing in jail like Bernard Hopkins. That's what I expected the way the film to go, and it went in a completely different direction and kind of had the trust fund son of Apollo Creed that didn't live all the way in the luxury, but had a lot of those benefits. And then he tries to make his own path, but at the same time within the path of his dead father that he never knew. So it's what I like about it is it has multiple layers like real life. Real life is never the way that movies are, where somebody is, completely self-made, or somebody is the, 80s movie villain rich guy. You know, people are complicated. And I like that this movie did a very good job of portraying multiple facets of Adonis Creed's personality. And at the same time, Michael B. Jordan had the range to pull it off. Excellent. So, and Sylvester Stallone again. Sylvester Stallone was doing his Rocky thing in this movie, and Stallone does a good job of playing this everyman that's a likable dude, simple but likable guy. He does a great job of that. But I really just like how he put the whole project together, because that's really going to be the legacy. This is going to going forward. This is going to be Michael B. Jordan's franchise. But of course, the whole thing is underneath the umbrella of Sylvester Stallone. He does an excellent job. Uh, the young lady that plays Adonis Creed's girlfriend, Bianca. I love what they did here, and I love what they did here just because she's not window dressing or prop. Adrian was always a prop in this franchise. Rocky's wife. The only thing I remember her saying, I've seen all of the Rocky movies at least 5 times, and the only thing I remember Adrian ever saying is where she goes on that tirade about you seen him, you know how strong he is. You can't win, and screams, "You can't win." That was the only thing I ever remember her saying, and she was in all the movies. Well, until she died, but I never remember her saying anything because she was just a prop. She was in one and two. She's almost just furniture. She almost doesn't even have lines. In this movie, Bianca, the Adonis Creed's girlfriend, she has her own career, her own ambitions. You're sitting there and you're watching her character develop, and for a second there, you're like, well, maybe I'd like to know more about her because they just do a good job of developing her character, and she's an excellent actress, so she does a good job of pulling it all off. And they throw little things in there that they're going to use as part of the struggle and the conflict of these films going forward. She has a she has some kind of degenerative condition where she's losing her hearing. So that's going to be a part of it. And she's a professional singer. That's what she does for a living. So it's they're going to you can tell they're going to use that going forward if they choose to use this character going forward. That's going to be part of it. But again, I just like how they gave Tessa Thompson something to work with, and again, she pulled it off beautifully. We know who Felicia Rashad is. One of the best actresses in the world. She's been doing it a long time. She was excellent playing Apollo Creed's widow. Andre Ward got hurt in the movie. Isn't that crazy? He was playing a boxer, and he was the guy that was supposed to have the title shot, and he gets hurt before the fight, like real Andre Ward. It was crazy when I saw it. I said, yeah, I'm watching this movie with a buddy of mine, and he and who actually used to box, and we both love boxing, both love Rocky movies, so we went to see it, and I turned to him and I said, I can't believe Andre Ward got hurt pre-fight like real life. I couldn't believe it. I'm gonna talk about a couple of other actors that just did a really good job. That are longtime guys. This guy, his name is Richie Coster. Well, his name is Richie Coster in the movie. His name is Richie Coster in the movie. His name is Pete Sporino. Richie Coster is a great actor. He really is, and he's not a guy you've ever heard of. You never heard of him, but when you see him, you might recognize him from a bunch of other things. He's always one of those guys that's in stuff playing any number of different characters. I've seen him play lawyers. I've seen him play gangsters. I've seen him play button men. I've seen him in any number of things. He did an excellent job. And what I liked was too, there was conflict between Michael B. Jordan and multiple characters, but they didn't blow everything up into being this cartoony thing. Because, for example, Pete Pete Sparino leaked to the media that Adonis Creed or Adonis Johnson was Apollo Creed's biological son. They didn't like go back and have to have some big blow up and get revenge on him over that. I liked that it was again similar to real life. You don't go back and address every little slight against you because who has time for that? And only psychopaths behave that way, right? So I like that. Finally, what I'll say about this film is it was the little things. It was the little things that made me really enjoy it. And I should say, actually allowed me to enjoy it. One, he doesn't win. I hate that. I hate that when they do this guy that couldn't beat this boxer beats this boxer. I hate that. Look, you want to have it be close. You want to have him getting his shots in. That's fine. But when you have him beat, it'd be like in Rocky 1, this 30-year-old journeyman fight, not even a journeyman fighter, club fighter from that's never been outside of Philly, is going to beat basically the film version of Muhammad Ali. That would have been ridiculous. But they portrayed it like he won just by lasting all 15 rounds. That was one of the things that was ultimately cool about Rocky. Having Rocky beat Apollo Creed in that first fight would have been complete nonsense because in actuality, you'd got knocked out. You'd got bogusly knocked out easily. In this movie, Adonis Johnson does not win the fight. He's close, but he doesn't win the fight. Little things. And another thing that was very important, I won't even call this a little thing. A large portion of this movie is about Adonis Johnson just trying to get Sylvester Stallone to train him. And one of the reasons, or the main reason that he seeks out Sylvester Stallone, is that his entire network of support will not support him in this endeavor, which they shouldn't. And that was something that I liked about this film. He goes, and what's interesting is there's a little interesting thing that's about the character Wood Harris is playing. Wood Harris, we know a Wood Harris from, he's been in a bunch of things, but the main thing I know him as is Ace and Paid in Full. Paid in Full. If you haven't seen the movie Paid in Full, go see it. You can see it on Netflix. It's a lot of places, but go see Paid in Full if you haven't seen it. It's an excellent, excellent movie. But Wood Harris, he was Motaw in Above the Rim. He's a really good actor, man. He just does a great job. But Wood Harris plays Duke. I believe it's supposed to be Duke's son. They don't really specify this stuff that well, but I believe it's supposed to be Duke's son. Duke being the trainer of Apollo Creed. Everybody remembers him. He's him screaming and stuff. Duke did a great. The guy who played Duke did a great job. What's interesting about this movie though is they call the character, Wood Harris's character, Little Duke. His name is Tony Burton in the movie. The actor who played the original Duke, his name is Tony Burton because he didn't have a name. Everyone just called him Duke and they never called him anything else. So it was interesting to me. His name in the movie is now the name of the old actor. That's why I assume he's Tony Duke Jr., Tony Burton Jr. is what I'm assuming he is. So I'm assuming this is Duke's son. They call him Little Duke. Michael B. Jordan, Adonis Johnson, Creed. Adonis Johnson comes in to the gym where, in LA, where Apollo Creed worked out and where all of Creed's people are still there running this gym. He comes in there, tries to get in the ring, and Little Duke is like, no, you're not allowed to box because you live in a mansion. You haven't, like, as far as they knew, he hadn't even quit his job. He had just got this big promotion, the big office. He was probably a director level guy. He's maybe 25. This guy has an incredible life ahead of him, and he's going to go and get in a boxing ring and get concussed for a living. That's a terrible idea. LeBron James just said this very well. They said, hey, you played football in high school. Would you let your kids play football? And he said, no. I grew up in poverty. I had to do stuff like that. They don't have to. It kills me that boxers' sons box. It kills me when I see that because it's a bad way to make a living. Most boxers don't make very much. And also, why are you damaging your brain when you don't have to? That's a crazy idea. You can want to fight all you want for a living, but it's a bad way to make a living, both physically and financially. So I liked that Creed's people were not having it. They were not interested. They were not going to help him do this because it was bad. It was a bad idea. And Sylvester Stallone, originally, he had to really badger him into it. And Sylvester Stallone, Rocky was just dumb enough to go along with this, because he really should have said, look, kid, you ask me from now until doomsday. I'm not going to do it because this is a bad way to make a living. I know I did it. It's a bad thing to do. It's a bad idea. But that was just another example of, like I said, this movie does not insult the audience. It's very entertaining. The plot is good. You're going to like a lot of the characters. They did little, and the production value was just excellent. They did little things that engaged you, made the people that he was boxing against seem super scary. They did an excellent job of setting everything up and taking you on a ride throughout the film and making you look forward from scene to scene and just say, oh, I really want to see what happens next. So I think that in terms of the direction, it was great. I think the script was great. And most importantly, I think the performances themselves were great across the board. I thought everybody did a great job. Even the out of shape, no boxing looking dude that they had playing the champ, he did a very, very good job of seeming scary and seeming like somebody that was an insurmountable foe for Adonis Creed. They did a really good job of making it appear that way for a guy who didn't look scary at all. But again, the actor, they did a good job of setting it up that way in terms of the script and direction. And then the actor did a very good job of pulling it off. So, with that said, I would suggest you go out, see it as soon as possible. You don't have to see it on Thanksgiving. Don't necessarily do that. Stick with your family, unless you guys use it as a family outing. But definitely go see definitely go see Creed. It's a very good movie, and you know what it does? It sets up a reboot of this franchise and takes it out from under the umbrella of Rocky. And I think it's going to stand alone as a very good franchise for Sylvester Stallone going forward as a director, producer, and all the other things that he does in filmmaking. So, with that said, you know the website, seniorbasketballanalyst.com. Follow me at SBA4String. I'm on Vine at SBA. Hit the thumbs up, and you know that. Happy Thanksgiving.